So we're looking at a problem like I to the 23rd power, and we're going to use a couple of fun little tricks to get this thing figured out. The first thing we want to keep in mind is that I squared equals -1. And the next thing I want to figure out is, or I want to kind of explain is, if I can write I to an even power, then I can always write that as I squared to some other number. Here's what I mean by that. For example, if I have I to the 10th, I can rewrite I to the 10th as I squared to the 5th. Because if we have a power to a power, we multiply those powers together. So as long as this power is even, I can break it up like that. If I had I to the 6th, I can write that as I squared to the 3rd power, right? Because 2 times 3 would give me that 6. And if I had I to the 22nd, I could rewrite that as I squared to the 11th power. And the reason why we're so focused on these I squareds is because we know what I squared is. I squared is -1. The second thing I want to kind of point out is, crud, this is not an even power. This is an odd power. Well, another little trick we're going to use is, if the power is odd, like it is here, we can rewrite this I to the 23rd as I to the 22nd times I to the 1st power. Because we also know that if I just write I to the 1st power, technically there's like an exponent of 1 on that I. And if we have two things with the same base, we're going to go ahead and add those exponents. 22 plus 1 is 23. So, if we have problems where I is raised to a power and that power is even, we're just going to go ahead and break up that power as I squared to whatever else you would need. And if that power is odd, you're always going to kind of pull out one of those i's. So, and rewrite this, let me do this neatly now, I to the 22nd times I. What happens next? What happens next is this. I to the 22nd power is the same thing as I squared, which I know is -1, to the 11th power, because 2 times 11 will give me 22. And then this little I is still chilling out over here. I squared is -1. Now we're starting to look into some familiar territory. If I have -1 to the 11th power times I, we're going back to a fun fact from Algebra 1, which is basically, if you have -1 to an even power, it's going to be a +1. If you have -1 to an odd power, it's going to be -1. And here we have -1 to an odd power. So that's going to be -1. That I that we had to pull out to make this number even is still chilling out there, so we have to take that with us, and this is going to end up equaling -I. That's the final answer on that. I'm going to talk through I'm going to make up another one of these and talk through it, so go ahead and give that one a look if you need to.